Let's stand. It's Sunday Night Live and we are 24 hours away from Manchester United versus Arsenal in what is going to be an absolutely huge game. As I said a couple of nights ago, I don't actually mind the fact that this is a Monday night game because we've had the weekend, we've enjoyed the weekend, watching other games, taking it all in. The world will be watching tomorrow, and I just think that the way this game goes, it's as I said, the title of the show is Solskjaer on thin ice. I don't really give a damn about Emery or Arsenal, to be honest with you. They're not my concern, but Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is. And you know what? You look at that league table and we're 11th. We're 11th in the league. And I understand that we've got games in hand over other teams. I totally get that. Of course I do. But the reality is it's not good enough. And, you know, there's no guarantee that we're going to beat Arsenal tomorrow. So you look at the league table at the moment, you've got West Ham 4 points ahead of us, Leicester are 6 points ahead of us, Bournemouth and Crystal Palace are 3 points ahead of us. And yes, if we win tomorrow night, those gaps all come down. But this is the point. We've got to win tomorrow night. I mean, really interesting weekend because I look around social media. I've watched the Sheffield United game yesterday. I was watching Leicester today. And looking on social media and United fans, I think absence makes the heart grow stupider, really, because we haven't played for a while, i.e. 2 or 3 days since the last crap result. Everyone's trying to be positive again. And I said, look, just look at the league table. Look, I ain't got a problem with positivity. We win tomorrow night. We've got something to go with. We've got something to build with. But the reality is, a lot of people say we're a mid-table team. Well, the league don't lie. You can have a game in hand, effectively, but the league don't lie. And tomorrow night, we've got to get 3 points because if we were to lose tomorrow, we are going to be 11th after 7 games, and that is disgusting. So we've got to go into this game. We've got to win it. I think we've got to win it. We're Manchester United at home to Arsenal. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in the further quotes that came out from his press conference from the embargoed bit that it's 2 attacking teams going against each other. Well, let's see that then, because I don't agree that we are that, and it's quite encouraging to hear Ole Gunnar Solskjaer say 2 attacking sides going at each other, because I think that is how you win the game tomorrow. I know it seems very obvious to say if we attack Arsenal, we'll win the game. Arsenal are, they're they're strong up front. Their midfield isn't that great, and their defence is, well, their midfield's okay. They're strong up front. The midfield's okay, and defensively they're very, very poor. So what we don't want to do is we want to get at that back four. So we do need to attack, and I think it's a bit foreign for us as United fans to say this, because I would say this to anybody, I'm sure you lot would as well. The last few games of the season, we have been very defensive. We saw it against West Ham, we saw it against Leicester. The last 2 league games, we've played with the 2 CDMs, we've played deep, and we've tried to hit teams on the break. It didn't work against West Ham and we lost, and it worked against Leicester and we ground out a 1-0 result, which is obviously a good result when you look at what Leicester are doing. So my theory is that we will do that against Arsenal, but I don't. There's 2 theories, I suppose. We're either going to try and win the game, like Ollie says, and it'll be 2 attacking teams going at each other. Because I've said this before. I don't know whether I said it on the show or I was talking to Flex or Robbie about it on Friday, and I said, you know what? If Arsenal just want a point at Old Trafford, you can get a very easy point by just not committing men forward and playing a bit deeper, because that's what we do, and it'll be a bore draw. But they were saying, well, Arsenal won't do that. Arsenal don't know how to defend. They've got to attack. So we know Arsenal are going to attack. I personally expect us to play quite defensive and hit them on the break. I don't think it's going to be 2 attacking teams. I think the reason Ollie's saying that is because he can't say you've got an attacking Arsenal that's going to come to United, we're going to sit back and hit them on the break. If he said that, he may as well just say, I'm going to get sacked by Christmas. So he's got to say we're an attacking team, but the reality is I think we will actually soak up and try and hit them on the break, which still could be effective. We could still win the game doing that. Personally, I wouldn't do that. Personally, I hope he does attack them. I would have Dan James on one side. I'd probably put Lingard on the right-hand side, because I think Greenwood's got to start. Like, Mason Greenwood's got to start in this game. He scored 2 big goals for us against Astana and Rochdale. There's injury doubts with Martial and Rashford. You can talk about him being 17. You can talk about him needing to be, gradually played in. But desperate times need desperate measures, and I don't think it is a desperate measure. I think it's desperate times. I don't think it's a desperate measure to play Mason Greenwood. You could argue that he's definitely in better form than Rashford, and I guarantee you, if Rashford is even half fit tomorrow, he'll start Rashford over Greenwood, which is wrong. So Greenwood should start tomorrow. He's fit. He's scoring goals. The expectations will be low. The buzz around Old Trafford if we start Greenwood up front will be absolutely huge in what's going to be a buzzing game anyway. So I would go Greenwood up front, James off one side, Lingard off the other. My midfield 3 would be Pogba in a more advanced position with Fred and McTominay. And then I think we've got a platform with that defence to go and attack. And I wouldn't play 2 holding midfielders midfielders with Fred and McTominay, but if you wanted to, I'd use those two, and Pogba would be more advanced. If he's fit, of course, with Lingard to the right, James to the left, and Greenwood up front. And what I would be looking to do is I would be saying to Wan-Bissaka and Ashley Young, for the life of you, give me a shift tonight and get forward. Get beyond your wingers, because what I want to do is put balls into the box. Now, I know that wasn't very successful against Astana and Rochdale, but that's because we weren't committing men from the midfield. And I think this is where Pogba would become very important. Pogba's about 6'3". If you say to Pogba, you're the more advanced midfielder, we're going to use the width, we're going to get crosses in the box, and I want you getting in that box with Mason Greenwood, then that's how you're going to hurt Arsenal. And that's how I would do it tomorrow. I would go. Ollie knows all about this. If I was manager tomorrow, I would go back to the days of Sir Alex, the Champions League nights. You know, that first 5 minutes. Get your fullbacks, whether it was Everett and Neville or Irwin or whoever. Get your fullbacks bombing on. Get the crowd back into a history vibe of, oh, remember when we used to do this. Get Arsenal scared, because if that Arsenal defence gets scared, we've got a great opportunity. So that's how I would go tomorrow. I would go on the front foot from the first minute. I would be saying to McTominay and Fred, bite at them, get at them. First few minutes, if you get the opportunity to clatter one of them, you clatter them. The old way of beating Arsenal, really. You know, get at them, get under their skin. Don't let them get the tempo. I think the worst thing we could do tomorrow is not get at them in the first few minutes. Let them have the ball. Let them get a feel. Let them get used to it. Get the crowd quiet. Get the crowd nervous, and just play their way. I think we've got to go at them in the first few minutes and commit people forward. And I think Pogba in a more advanced position is so important. But whether we'll see that, I don't know. GTA Red Star Gaming says, I think Ollie has fell through the ice. I think tomorrow is hugely important for us. We know that. Delo on the right says, Henry Anderson. Yeah, look, I'd play Delo, but I don't know whether he's fit or not. But I just think Arsenal are Arsenal, right? And I'm sure we've got Arsenal fans watching tonight. And I would say, if I was doing it as a percentage of what's the likeliest result, and you can do it as well, I would say there's probably, I think draw is the most likely outcome. I would say there's probably 40% chance of a draw. I would say there's about... and then I'd say 30% chance of an Arsenal win, 30% of a United win. But 30% is quite, having the same odds of winning is still good if you're the away side. So it's a big opportunity for Arsenal. But I still think Arsenal are Arsenal. I think any Arsenal fan will be worried about that tomorrow. They should have beat us last year. We played Arsenal on December the 5th last year, and Mourinho was gone 10 days later. But they still couldn't beat that shit Mourinho side. So they've had opportunities. I think the last 10 games we've beaten them 6 times and we've drawn 4 at Old Trafford in the Premier League. So they're going to have to go and do something that they haven't really been able to do for a few years. So I think that Manchester United have got to... we've got to get at them. We've got to do... the weakness of Arsenal is that you can get at them. We saw Watford do it a couple of weeks ago. They're always dodgy on the road. You can always get at them back four. I think that's what United need to do tomorrow. If they don't do it... there's a lot of pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tomorrow, of course there is. And, one thing he did say, which wasn't from the press conference, I think it was from the embargoed bit or the interview with Sky, and 1,000 subscribers without any upload says Ollie out now. We're not Ollie out now. Some people will be, but we're not Ollie out now. But what he did say that really quite surprised me, he says that this team isn't like last year. There's no lack of desire, that's for sure. And I was like, what? That statement's quite interesting. When you can just flip past it and go, oh, what, that interesting, bye. Or you can actually go, whoa, hold on a minute. So we're not like last year. There's no lack of desire, that's for sure. So basically, you're admitting that last year there was a lack of desire in this squad. Was that towards the end of last season for you, or was that a year ago under Mourinho? But basically, and I don't know, I presume he's talking about under Mourinho. I don't know what you lot think. But to say that it's not like last year, there's no lack of desire now for sure. It is admitting that there was a lack of desire in the squad last year. And the worrying thing about that is the worrying thing we always talk about is, well, whether it was under Mourinho there was a lack of desire, or whether it was towards the end of the season under Ollie there was a lack of desire, he's still absolutely publicly saying there was a lack of desire in the Manchester United squad last year. And most of the players who were part of that team last year, whether it was under Mourinho or Ollie when the lack of desire was there, are still here. So if we take what Ollie's saying on face level, well, the desire's there now, but it wasn't there a year ago. Who's to say with these same set of players, a couple of months later, in a couple of months' time, or tomorrow night, or against Newcastle, there'll be a lack of desire again? I thought it was a really telling comment from Ollie, and it's not. I'm not going in. I don't blame him for it, unless he's saying that when he was in charge there was a lack of desire, because it falls badly on him. I assume he's talking about Mourinho, but what worries me is I think Ollie's let one slip there, and it smells dodgy. Because for you to say there was a lack of desire, effectively say there was a lack of desire last year. Well, it's mostly the same players. I mean, obviously Dan James, Wan-Bissaka, and Maguire get a free ride because we can see their desire, but it's a worrying indication of actually what we all already know, that you can't trust these players. And tomorrow night's massive. I think that we hear the players talking about how they love Ollie and this, that, and the other, and the board love Ollie, and the ex-players love Ollie, and we love Ollie, and it's great, absolutely great. But we can all still, they've got to put. I think the players tomorrow night. It's not. Tomorrow night is sort of like, if we lose that game, whatever you think about Solskjaer in, Solskjaer out, or anything like that, it's real. It's real tomorrow night. If we lose, it's a very real situation to be 11th in the league when everyone's played the same amount of games, and to be 11th in the league and to be 6 points off Leicester and 4 off West Ham and 3 off Crystal Palace and 13 off bloody leaders Liverpool. It's a disaster. You're in the water then, you've fallen through the ice, and that's the reality tomorrow night. But it is one game tomorrow night. It's we are where we are because of a bad start to the season over a number of games, and you could add into the last few games of last season to that. But tomorrow night, this is why I don't think we'll lose. There's so much pressure if we lose that. I can't see us losing that game, because I can't see being sat there tomorrow night doing my match reaction after the game saying we've just lost to Arsenal, we are 11th in the league, we effectively are in the bottom half, because 11th is the bottom half. I can't see us doing that, and I can't see this set of players, knowing what we're talking about tonight, knowing the pressure that's on Ollie if he doesn't win at Old Trafford, the world's watching, it's a big game. I can't see those professional footballers not turning it on for 90 minutes. I think we'll see a good performance from Lingard, Pogba, McTominay, everybody. I think there'll be a very good performance from Manchester United. My concern is, and to be honest, it's a concern not to worry about now, is that we'll go and beat Arsenal, or we'll get a good draw against Arsenal, and then we'll drop off against Newcastle and Liverpool, and then there'll be another game where it's pressure and they'll turn up again, because I think that's what that squad's like. But tomorrow night, tactically it might go wrong, but I think that the players have got to deliver tomorrow night, and I think that they will do. Everyone relax, it's Arsenal, they haven't beaten us since the mid-90s, a la Fabregas, we need to attack and sustain it throughout the game, says Jalal Mazmeh. I agree. Utkarsh says that, don't you think we're being a bit directionless? I think tomorrow we've got to go out from minute one and set our stall out to attack them. There's nothing I would like to see more tomorrow night than the 4-3-3 that he played in the first few months, where we have one holding midfielder, one like Herrera was, a little bit more defensive responsibility but is box to box, and then Pogba with a bit more attacking responsibility but is box to box, and then 3 dynamic forwards. I'd love to see us go for it against Arsenal, because I don't think but you know what, team news comes in at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, we might see Nemanja Matic in there, and it's going to go off like a bottle of pop then, isn't it? So we'll wait and see. But there's a lot of people in the live comments sort of are going in on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and for me, it's not really how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm very excited about this game against Arsenal tomorrow, but I'm not dismissing what you lot are saying at all. I think, you know what, we are 11th in the league, and it is totally and utterly unacceptable. And people who think that we're in a positive position, you need to wake up. You don't need a cup of coffee, you need to just eat it raw. You definitely need to wake up, because the situation United are in at the moment is unacceptable, and I don't think there's enough from Ollie or the players to actually apologise for that. I think if this was under Mourinho or this was under Moyes or Van Gaal, there would be outrage. It's protection, because it's Ollie the legend, and the reality is we are in a despicable position for this football club, and they are trying to make it sort of reality, and it doesn't matter, it's all about the future. It is a shit position Manchester United are in, and we should never accept being mid-table, regardless of whether we've got a game in hand or not. It's not good, but it can be better tomorrow if we do get a good result. If they can't I suppose what I'm trying to say in a very long-winded way is, if those players and that manager can't go out tomorrow night when we're under real pressure and get a win against Arsenal, regardless of a couple of injuries, because everyone gets injuries, then we may as well pack up with this squad and this manager, because the pressure is on. This game is fundamental to our season. If we lose it, we're massively out of the top 4 race, and it's not even October. So we have got to win tomorrow night. It's an isolated one game as well. You can call it a cup final if you want, whatever you want to call it. It's at Old Trafford. It's against Arsenal. We know what everyone else has done over the weekend. We've got to bloody win that game. You want 90 minutes from these players who've not really done well so far. They've got to go out and deliver. And if they don't, I think it's a massive message to everybody as to the massive problem the club's in. So we've got to go and win it, 100%, 100%. I do think it will probably be a draw, but I think we've got to go and win it. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. I hope you've enjoyed the content over the weekend. I thought the troops and rants and flex video was brilliant yesterday, and I really enjoyed the Robbie and flex one this afternoon. Just want to remind you as well, links in the video description. We're getting very close now. It's just under 4 weeks away until the United Stand evening with Ryan Giggs, and there are still tickets available. So if you want to get yourself down to that, it's on Friday the 25th of October. It's in Birmingham at the ICC, and the way it's going to work is we will be there, obviously meet and greets and all that, like you can get your photographs and have a chat with us. There's a meal you can have if you choose that sort of ticket. You can get photographs, etc. And there will be part of the night where we're on stage with Ryan Giggs asking him questions and stuff. So and obviously that's going to be exclusive to that night, so it's going to be really, really good. Get yourself down there. We did the night in London before, which was fantastic, and this is our second United Stand get together, so we're looking forward to it. And then the third one's going to be Christmas, the Christmas do, which we've actually booked. We know where that's going to be, and we will be releasing tickets for that very, very soon. We need Thomas Tuchel as manager, says Christopher Delagi. Well, your prerogative, mate. You talk about what you want as Manchester United fans. That's up to you. I personally don't want to talk about that. I think we could almost. The international break is after the Newcastle game, and then we've got Liverpool straight after that. We could almost do with the international break being straight after this Arsenal game, because I think it's going to be pivotal to our season tomorrow night. Without, well, sod it, yeah, let's build it up. It's pivotal to our season. And I think that it's dangerous. It's pivotal to Arsenal's season, but like I say, I don't really care about Arsenal. But the reality is, I will say, I'm brave enough to say this now, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Welcome to Ryan Locke, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. I'm brave enough to say this now, that if we lose tomorrow night, you can't say, oh, it's only September, Arsenal are however 6 points or 3 points ahead of us, so what, it's a long old season. I don't think you can say that. And I think in the past, maybe we've lost games to rivals, whether it be Liverpool or Man City or Chelsea or Arsenal, and we'd go, oh, it's early days, we'll have you by the end of the season. I think if we were to lose to Arsenal tomorrow night, it would be very significant, not only in this season, but I think also in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career of Manchester United. It just has a feel about it, this game. And as I said, I'm not expecting us to lose, but this game really does have it's bigger than any game I can think of in September for many years, and that's testament to the bad start to the season we've had. You shouldn't be in a position where you are having a game like this in September going, if we were to lose this, we are absolutely in trouble big time. And I put my hand up and say, look, Arsenal fans, if we were to lose and you bantering us on social media tomorrow night, I won't be on it, I'll be gone. But they're right to. It's pivotal to our season tomorrow, which is why I think maybe a draw will come out, because it's a halfway house then for everybody, isn't it? Reece Smith says, let's be honest, this wasn't going to be a quick fix after Moyes, LVG and Jose. Once Ollie brings in new midfielders and a striker, I believe things will change, which should have happened in the transfer window. Reece, there's a few people like you like that, but what I would say is, I still think that that's a hypothetical fantasy world that you're living in. There's a few United fans like you, Reece, and I understand why you do it, but all I would say this is, if you say, well, it was always going to take time, he's got to bring midfielders and attackers in, and then we'll see a real difference. I don't disagree with that. I think if he had got the midfielders in the summer that he needed and the attackers he'd got, then maybe we'd be in a better position. But what I would say is, if we are in the bottom half of the table in October and November and December, he ain't going to get till next summer. And the club might want him to get to next summer, but the fans will just get rid of him. They're going to wake up to it very, very quickly. If we're in the bottom half of the table, he won't get to next summer. There'll be an uproar. People will force him out. And that's very sad, but they will. You cannot be manager of Manchester United going next year, and finishing in the bottom half of the table, or even flirting with the middle of the table. You can't do that. So I think if you are a fan thinking, oh, well, it was never going to be easy, he needs another transfer window, he probably does. But he's got to keep us in a position where fans will be patient. And mid-table isn't going to be that, because no matter what you say about our midfield and our attack, I know we can't compete with teams like Spurs and United, and Liverpool and City. But regardless of summer signings, that team, that midfield of Fred and Pogba and McTominay, and that front line of Rashford and Martial and Greenwood and James and Lingard should still be good enough to finish 6th in that Premier League. It's still a better squad than Bournemouth, Watford, West Ham, Crystal Palace, and most of the other teams above it at the moment. So that's where Ollie will lose his get out of jail card that I need more signings, because yeah, you do need more signings, but you still shouldn't be mid-table, mate. You should have the tactical nous with those players to at least be getting us into 7th or 6th. So that's going to be what I think. He'll get away with mid-table for I'd say until probably October. But if in November we're still down there, I think he's in trouble. I really do. And tomorrow will be pivotal to that. Ollie out if we lose against Arsenal, says Hayder Lamy. Well, he didn't put a question mark next to that. Would I be Ollie out if we lose to Arsenal? I'm going to say no now, because, you know, you hypothetically want to be, and I'm calm, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to think I wouldn't be, because it wouldn't surprise me if we did lose tomorrow night. We are capable of losing to anybody, as Ollie himself said. But I don't know how I will react if we lose tomorrow, because we will, you know, where we'll be will be unacceptable. Mark, big game or not, if United's team consists of Matic, Mata and Young, it's irrelevant. We still need quality on the pitch. Martial is out. If Pogba is too, there is no chance, says Jordan Such. And Zayn Miasi, thank you for the contribution. Well, you know what? I'm disappointed that Martial and Pogba are out. Of course I am. I think everybody is. But I don't really like talking about the injuries, to be honest with you, because I think that it's a bit of a joke, really, that you are so reliant on Pogba and Martial, because Pogba gets a lot of stick from the United fans who say he's crap and inconsistent, and Martial's had it as well, where people have said he's lazy, we should get rid of him. A lot of people were saying that last season. I know there's a lot of people like me who love Martial, and there's a lot of people who like Pogba as well, like I do. I don't love Pogba the United player, but I do like Pogba the player. But you know, there's also a lot of negativity around them from United fans. So for us to sit there and say if we lose to Arsenal, oh, it's because we haven't got Pogba and Martial, I'd be a bit like, well, I've seen a lot of criticism of Pogba and Martial, and also to be fair, Martial and Pogba were crap last season at the end of the last 3 months. So you know, it's not even if they were fit, maybe they'd have a crap game. We definitely missed them, but there's 2 reasons we missed them. 1, we didn't buy anybody in the summer, and 2, you know, you should have a squad good enough that if you get a couple of injuries, you've got replacements. You cannot go into a season totally reliant on 2 players. You've got to have depth. Rashford is an injury's no miss. If he's back tomorrow, great. We've got him on the bench, or he plays. You know, that's important, but he's not really a miss because his form is so bad. You can't say, oh, we miss Rashford. That would be a total lie. It's really about Martial and Pogba, isn't it? Thoughts on Rant saying play Matic over Fred, says Greg MacGyver. To be honest, I hadn't really noticed that he'd said that, you know. So if he did say that, thanks for the contribution, Zane. If he did say that, then... Look, I get on with rants. I like rants, but what I would say is that he's very angry at the moment, like a lot of United fans, and I personally think he is Ollie out. He's just not saying it because I think he knows by saying it, it's probably not constructive to say it because it's not going to happen anyway. But I think he's sort of made his mind up about Solskjaer that he's not good enough for the job, for definite. Which is right, and any other United fans right. I wouldn't criticise that, but I would criticise picking Matic over Fred. I don't know why you'd pick Matic over Fred, because Arsenal's midfield is very mobile, and their attack is very mobile, and that destroys Matic anyway. I don't think Matic played terribly against West Ham. I just think he played like Matic. You know, his ball movement was slow, and you know his movement's very slow. But I would play Fred over Matic and every day of the week. Yeah. Saeed is Ollie out, says Illa United. Yeah, and he's good on the fan cam, Saeed. So you know, there's people there. You know, what I'm trying to say is there's people that I certainly respect their opinions who are Ollie out. So And when people that I respect start saying Ollie out, and I respect a lot of you lot as well, you know, obviously you're going to get the clown accounts on Twitter and stuff who have been Ollie out since bloody first game of the season, you know. But when people that you actually listen to start saying Ollie out, you do think, well, you know, we're not far off. I'm not there, but we're obviously not far off when people who actually know what they're talking about are actually saying, yeah, I don't have any faith in him. Thanks for the contribution, Zane. And we need a new medical staff, says Matt Rakovic. Solskjaer should be sacked, says Mercy Football. And let me read that comment if I can get back. The of THC of UYO. Don't you think it's the wrong message that your manager brings a new goalkeeping coach and got rid of David De Gea's goalkeeping mentor in the club? Yeah, Alvarez. I think that's a really good point for a moment, just to dwell on it. I don't know why we've done that. I've not really read into it. I'll put my hands up and say, look, bit ignorant of me. I've not really read into why that's happened, but he's been a big factor in David De Gea's career at Manchester United in recent years, and he's gone. So, but then De Gea's signed the new contract, so De Gea must be party to that. But you know, we cannot lower our expectations below top four, whatever the ex-United pundits say, says Dull Carnan. Well, I said that 2 weeks ago, didn't I? I sort of felt that even me, I was starting to lower my expectations, and I'm not going to do that anymore. I won't allow that. I personally won't do that, and I know you lot won't let me anyway. If I start talking about, well, it's a long process, I know we're mid-table, but this is just what we are. I don't want to do that. I want to always remember that we're Manchester United. I did it under Mourinho. I said under Mourinho, he's trying to lower the expectations. He can shut up. And I'm going to do it the same with Ollie. I'm not going to let the expectations be lowered. We're Manchester United. We should not be out of the top four, let alone mid-table. Blame the Glazers and Ed, not Ollie. It's stupid, says Matthew D. Murray. I do blame the Glazers, and I do blame Ed Woodward. I think every United fan does that. But I've got to be honest with you, Matthew. I do blame Ollie a bit at the moment as well. His tactics have been poor. His selections have been poor, and we are where we are because of that. As I said, I don't want to go over it, but my personal opinion is that, look, I know we didn't get the signings we needed, and I do blame the board and Woodward for that. But I also look at that squad and know it shouldn't be 11th. It should be finishing around 6th. And we're nowhere near that at the moment. And we're losing to teams like West Ham. So Ollie's got to take some responsibility. How much responsibility he's got to take, we'll find out in the next few weeks. Because if he beats Arsenal tomorrow, he beats Newcastle, we get a draw out of Liverpool, and then we get a couple of wins against Norwich and Bournemouth away, you know, happy days, we're back in a race. So, and things can happen. Things can happen. Thanks for the contribution, Zane. Ollie can get a lot of support back depending on the team he picks tomorrow, says Ryan Locke. It's going to be a very interesting team, isn't it? And Sid T says, I lost my first game in FIFA 20 career mode at Legendary against Arsenal 3-0 at home. Hope that's not a bad omen. Well, we will be live tomorrow night at probably 7 o'clock. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, isn't it? So make sure you're joining us for the watch along tomorrow. As I said, I'm not finishing the show, by the way. I'm just talking about the watch along tomorrow. As I said, whatever your thoughts are about tomorrow, it's going to be massive. I think the only result that could sort of, but even then it will still go off. A draw, a lot of people will say is a shit result because it will still keep us down in the bottom half of the table. But if we were to win tomorrow, it's going to be huge, and it'll be great. And if we lose tomorrow, it's going to be huge in a very, very bad way. So, yeah, I think we needed the week. I think this game suits a Monday night game because I think we needed that weekend to get everybody else out of the way and this to be the focal event, and it will be. I think it's going to be absolutely huge game, and I can't wait for it in many ways. I can't wait for it anymore because I think it says it on the thumbnail. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide. Arsenal are basically us. Unfortunately, we've done something that I never wanted us to do. We've fallen to the level of Arsenal, and I know they've finished above us a lot over the last 6 years, but they've not won many titles over the last 10 years, have they? We've won more than them, and we are a better team than them in relation to status and what we've done with the Premier League. But at the moment, we are probably below Arsenal. They're probably better than us, and that's why tomorrow's night's game is so important, because it's a team that we should be better than, who are doing things slightly better than us, who could come to our manor and turn us over. And that's why it's so significant, and that's why there's nowhere to hide, and that's why we are skating on thin ice, because the symbolism of losing this game tomorrow would be far bigger than just losing a game of football. It would be the lowest ebb, United have been since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And I think, Jordan Such says, is Pogba definitely out tomorrow? As I understand it, he is. But, Jordan, I think he will play tomorrow night, by the way. I think he will play. But whenever you think about Manchester United as well, and whether you're positive, like I am still quite positive, because I'm not quite Ollie out yet, even though some are. Welcome to the United Stand Members Club, Partap Chahel. But what you could probably argue it a little bit right now. As of this moment now, before the Arsenal game, if I said to you, we've never been in such a bad situation as we are now in the Premier League era. Certainly since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, but in the Premier League era, we've never been as bad as we are now as a whole, as the squad, as the results, as the board, as where we are as a football club. We've never been in a position as bad as this, and I would argue with that. But if we lose tomorrow night, I don't think there's any doubt about that we are at the lowest ebb we've ever been in the Premier League, and that's a pretty sobering and shocking sort of realization for some people. If you said, look, we have never, you forget all the fucking flip-flopping and forget all the sensationalist sort of headlines that there will be, and forget all that. Look at it pragmatically, look at it in relation to every other Premier League season, and if we were to lose tomorrow night after 7 games, where we are, who we've lost to in a team like Arsenal, because let's be honest, Arsenal will bloody be doing a lap of London if they get 4th and in the Champions League. That's their ceiling. That is, I mean, they could get 3rd. I'm not going to say they can't, but if they get 4th, they will see that as their best season in ages. So if they come to Old Trafford and beat us tomorrow night and subject us to being at the worst point we've ever been in as a football club, you've got to look at it and go, well, there's got to be a bit of responsibility from the players and Ollie and the coaching staff, because when he took over, we weren't there. We were in a low position when Mourinho got the sack, and Mourinho deserved the sack. But 3 months later, we were all like, yes, we're going somewhere under Ollie. And then 6 months later, we're back to the lowest point we've ever been. It's massive. Tomorrow is massive. Don't care what anybody says. It is. It is, and it will be. Why don't we stop going to Old Trafford, says D. James KH. Hey, mate, you can't, I don't think anybody's going to say that right now, are they? What an atmosphere it's going to be at Old Trafford tomorrow night. And, it will be packed out, and it should be packed out. It's a big, big game. And as I said, people might think it's unrealistic, but tomorrow, if we went and put in a good performance and played like we did in the first 3 months and beat them 2-0, let's say, that momentum, belief, positivity, vision will be there. It could totally go that way. Of course, we can lose and be in this worst position we've ever been, or we can win, and suddenly it's like, oh, is this going to be the start of something? So it can go, Did we dodge a bullet not signing De Ligt, says RB. De Ligt was never going to come to United anyway. It was just about money, wasn't it? Noel Ryan says, would Mason Greenwood get blamed if we lose tomorrow? I hope not. No, I think if Mason Greenwood plays tomorrow night, it's actually one of the most positive things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can do, because Old Trafford fans love Mason Greenwood. Manchester United fans love Mason Greenwood. He could miss 3 sitters tomorrow night and we could lose 1-0 and he wouldn't get the blame, because everybody knows he's a talent. Everybody knows he's got the potential to be a superstar, and everyone knows he's exciting. And to be honest with you, I know we had those issues with how Chong was treated last night, which was surprising. But you wouldn't get that with Greenwood, because Greenwood's already sort of shown what he's all about. And there's no pressure on Greenwood tomorrow. As much as it sounds odd, because it's such a pressurised game, there wouldn't be any pressure on Greenwood. And in many ways, it would help the atmosphere and help the positivity around the club if he did start Greenwood, because people would be like, there's no pressure on the lad and we're happy he's playing, he's part of our future. And I think there's so many positives that Greenwood playing would bring. You imagine if Rashford plays tomorrow night, right? We already know he's probably not really fit enough to play. We know he's being rushed back because he loves the club, and to be fair to Rashford, he will run through brick walls for the club. But if Rashford plays tomorrow night and then puts in his usual performance, people will be pissed off. They'll be like, well, he never should have played anyway. He's been crap. You've rushed him back from an injury. He's not good enough. He should have played Greenwood. I think the easy win tomorrow is to play Greenwood. That's what I think. We are, and I'm not saying win the game, but like in relation to if he picks Greenwood, I don't think many people could complain about it. We are United. We shouldn't even be finishing 6th. Request to Ollie stop lowering expectations, says Partap Shahel. Thanks for the contribution, Zane. What's the latest about United, says Victor Precious. Oh, there's so much latest. Go back to the start of the video. We should use a 4-3-3. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Twansebi, Maguire and Young, McTominay, Fred and Pogba, Rashford, Greenwood and James. That's from Snaky 1994. And Reece Gregory says, in 2009 we had a real injury crisis with Carrick and Gibson in centre-back against Fulham. This isn't an injury crisis. Ollie is making excuses for the club and the lack of recruitment. Yeah, I agree, Reece. I do. I do. I don't think you can... If we lose tomorrow night, we can't say, oh, it's because we didn't have Pogba and Martial. That's 2 players. It's 2 players. You can't do that. It's 2 players. I know they're important, but you cannot have a squad of over 25 players and have 2 players out and go, well, that's why we lost. Of course they're important, but De Bruyne missed most of the season for Man City last year. They still won the title and got record points. So it's, you can't do that. I wouldn't accept that, to be honest. I really wouldn't. I've just put something here that I wanted to remember to say as well, actually. Rochdale lost 3-0 at home to Wickham yesterday. With pretty much the same team that they played against us. I don't know what you can read into that, to be honest with you, because it's very different, isn't it? It's very different to playing at Old Trafford. But the way it is with United at the moment, we just can't catch a break anyway. It was just another reason to ridicule, wasn't it? But... the pressing game on tour has now disappeared, says Simon Tack. The opposition are better. The quality of player we have is not good enough. Ollie's tactics are a rewrite, says Simon Tack. The problem is that this is threadbare squad fully fit, says Paul Lucas. I think when we're fully fit, we're not quite threadbare, but we definitely are in the attacking positions. The problem we've had is Martial got injured and he was doing really well. I mean, Martial's only played 3 games for us this season. He's been out for more than he's been in. And it's such a shame because he was doing so well. And as I said on Friday, we're now looking at a situation with Martial where he could be quite injury prone. He does seem to pick up a lot of knocks. But that was compounded by the fact that Rashford's crap. So we needed another striker in the summer. In relation to the midfield, Pogba's very important to Manchester United. I'm not going to lie. If Pogba's injured, we are in a lot of trouble. Having said that, you've still got Fred, McTominay, Pereira and Matic. You've still got 4 midfielders. And Lingard plays that position. And Mata can play the attacking position. So you've got 6 midfielders when Pogba's not injured. When Pogba's injured. So it's not really threadbare in the midfield. It's just crap. That's the problem. There are midfielders there. And I think people make that excuse of, if Pogba's out, we haven't really got many options. We have. You've got McTominay, Pereira, Matic, Fred, Lingard, Mata. You've got 6 players who can play that position. But the trouble is they're not good enough. And that's the real problem. And that's not only about recruitment, is it? That's about retention. I was watching Thomas Partey in the mid-derby giving our midfielders. It's scandalous that United wasn't even looking at someone like him. It's not even as if he was 150 million. Thomas Partey was available for 43 million. Tielemans was available, and Dembele was available. So many midfield. Bruno Fernandes was available. These players were all available for between 40 and 60 million pounds, and we didn't get any of them. It's shocking. It really is. If we lose at Newcastle, sad to say this, Ollie's going to get the sack, says Godson. Look, Arsenal's too big a game to even think about Newcastle, but if Newcastle lose to us next Sunday, I think Steve Bruce is looking at the sack. So it's really interesting, isn't it? Because our 8th game last season was Newcastle, and the night before it, the Daily Mirror said that Mourinho was going to get the sack, and we were 2-0 down at half-time, and we won 3-2. Pogba and Martial basically saving Mourinho's skin for a couple of more months. Here we are a year later. That Newcastle game will be our 8th game again, going into an international break. And again, I think Ali's got to win that game, regardless of what happens tomorrow. He's got to win that game, so it's going to be, that is a big game on the horizon. You've also got to go to AZ Alkmaar on Thursday, which will have an impact on the Sunday, but it's all about tomorrow. Partip Chahel says tomorrow's match is make or break for Oli. I think, which is why I don't think we'll lose. I don't feel whether people want it or not. I actually just don't have this feeling that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is close to the end at United. I still think there's a lot more to come. Whether it's good or bad, I still think there's a lot more to come. And for that to happen, I think tomorrow needs to be a positive result. So I am expecting it. And as I keep saying, regardless of Arsenal, it is Arsenal. Arsenal, did you see them against Watford a couple of weeks ago? They're 2-0 up. They played absolutely crap. They're 2-0 up. And then they blow it as well. So it is Arsenal. They're not even, you know what? This is why it would be even worse if we lost, because they're not actually that good. They're good on their day, but they're ridiculously inconsistent, and they're definitely vulnerable themselves. So, that's why I just can't see it. I see merit in Garner, Gomez, and Williams playing more. Says Dio Force. Yeah, I do as well, mate. But they won't play. They won't be playing tomorrow. And Matic hat-trick tomorrow, says Brad the lad. And Rafe says, do you think that Lampard actually has got a better squad than ours? I mean, when you read out that midfield Ollie got, apart from Pogba, all our deadwood, imagine if we swap our midfield into Chelsea. Rafe, I said this a few weeks ago, this is why we needed to sign players in the midfield, and this is probably why we should have got rid of maybe a Matic as well, because the board have not delivered midfielders, but also the board could have said to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we're not getting you a midfielder because you've already got Pogba, you've got Fred, you've got Matic, you've got McTominay, you've got Pereira, you've got Mata, you've got Lingard, you've got 7 internationals. Pereira's not really played for Brazil, but he has. Fred definitely was. You've got 7 midfielders there. They're all internationals. I'm not buying you one unless you get rid of one, and we didn't get rid of any of them. So the board could have said that to Solskjaer. Look, we're not buying you a midfielder because you've got 7. Are you going to get rid of any of those? Well, no, we kept Mata. Mata could have gone. We kept Mata. That might have happened. And the reality is that 7 is not good. There's 7. There's depth there. It's not threadbare. There's 7 midfielders there, but they're not good enough. But then you go to Chelsea, like you say, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Barkley, Kante. That's off the top of my head. Mason Mount. That's 6. You go to Arsenal, Xhaka. All right, he's a bit shit. Torreira, Guendouzi, Ceballos. Ozil, that's 5, and there's probably a couple more I'm not even thinking about. Spurs have got Winks, Sissoko, Dyer, and Dembele, Lo Celso, Eriksen, and then Liverpool and Man City, obviously. So there's really good squad depths in the midfield for the top 6 clubs, apart from ours. We've got the numbers. We have got the numbers. We just haven't got the quality. And to be fair, and I'm never fair to the board. What if they did say, well, they could have gone, look, Chelsea they've got 5 or 6. Well, you've got 5 or 6 as well. So why do you need any more? Sally Devil Red 7, and one of our mods, says our board has made mistakes in appointing managers that just don't follow a football ethic or system. So we've bounced from one style to another with a mishmash of players. Spot on. And if Ollie plays Matic and Mata together tomorrow night, then we are done. And so is he. Says Godfrey Young. Yeah, I hadn't really... thanks everybody who's been commenting tonight, because I hadn't really given it much thought about the actual lineup tomorrow night, because I don't normally think about that until like a couple of hours before, and then we go live and we talk about it. But actually, that is always going to be... I can say, well, if we lose tomorrow, I won't be Ollie out. I'll just be really pissed off with the situation because it's unacceptable. But if we were to lose tomorrow, and we lose because he's picked Matic and Mata... that obviously makes it a lot more difficult. If you think about it, if he picks McTominay, Pogba and Fred in the midfield tomorrow, and then Greenwood starts because Rashford and Martial are injured, and he plays, Delot on the right, or Lingard on the right, and James on the left, it's pretty much the team you would pick. And they try to win, but they lose 3-2. Obviously, people would be unhappy with the loss, and some people might be Ollie out, but I would be hopefully going, look, he picked the right team, we played the right way, we weren't good enough. And that might be enough for me to go, look, I can see his vision. He's not playing defensive. He's not playing Matic and Mata. Even if we lose, I might say that. You never know. But if we lose because he's picked Matic and Mata, then I think a lot of people would go, well, it's not even the loss is bad enough. It's what he's doing tactically. You know, he has got to go. So the team selection will of course be very, very big. Partik Shahal says, just became a member. Keep up the good work, man. You are only good thing in the United family right now. Thanks, mate. Look, the channel, I know, like, I listen. It was great to watch the Arsenal Fan TV stuff with Flex and Rants yesterday. I really enjoyed it, and I liked the way it went off between Flex and Rants, because you've got two very different people there who are good mates with very different opinions, and I think that's what we try to reflect on the United stand. So thanks everybody who understands that, and getting involved. I think tomorrow night's going to be absolutely huge. I can't wait for it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, and smash a like on the video. Do you think Ollie had anything to do with giving Mata a new contract, says Jordan Such? I don't know, but what I did say at the time is, and I really do like Juan Mata, but you can go back to the video. I think we did a video when he got a new contract, and I said, look, I love Juan Mata. He's a brilliant human being, but that is a stupid decision, and it also means if Mata had gone, we would have bought somebody. So if Mata had gone, maybe we would have bought Bruno Fernandes. Maybe we would have bought Maddison. I don't know. But if Mata went, we would have bought someone. And that's why it appalled me when we gave him the contract. And the thing about Mata is, he's finished. He's crap. He's not good enough anymore. He can talk about, oh, I feel really young, this, that and the other. What a great guy he is, but so what? Well, no, not so what, because he's a great guy, and that's not so what. But in relation to Manchester United Football Club, he ain't good enough anymore. And he doesn't even put in the odd good performance, really. He did okay against Chelsea last season a couple of times, but he just ain't good enough. Just isn't good enough. And giving him a 3-year contract was just crazy. Who decided to do it? Maybe it was Ollie, maybe it was the board, I don't know. But I do think there's something in, when you think about it, all right, we didn't buy midfielders, but actually you can list 6 or 7. That's a lot of options. They're just all shit. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember the Ryan Giggs event with the United stand, links in the video description. You can still get your tickets for that. It's going to be a fantastic night. I think it's 3 weeks on Friday now, so link in the video description. You can get to that. It's really going to be great. And I think the way the season's going, some of the questions we're going to be asking Ryan is going to be really interesting. We need Bruno Milinkovic-Savic and Timo Werner, says D. James KH, and if we lose playing trash and because of Ollie's tactics naivety again, then I'm sorry, I can't waste more years of my lives just for him to learn that making subs earlier in the second half can win a game, says Demoy Vernon. Interesting from that. Thanks everyone for watching. Massive day tomorrow. If you've not seen the AFTV stuff with Robbie and Troops, then check it out on the channel. But I'm sure you're going to be with us tomorrow night. We'll be live from about 7 o'clock with the team news all the way through, fan cams, match reactions, watch along. It's massive. I cannot wait for it. These things don't scare me. I think this is what football's all about. Let's see what we deliver. Can't wait for it. Thanks everyone for watching live. If you're not watching live, thanks for watching. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Check out the link for the Ryan Giggs event if you're going to be around. You'd certainly like to see you there. And I look forward to tomorrow night. Have a good evening, and let's bring it on. Let's do it. Let's go for it from minute 1. Let's get at that butcher's apron defence. It's wide open, and the only way we're going to do that is by getting at it. Thanks for watching. Let's hope United bring the lube.